Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica Imperialis and to today's video. Today is going to be another My Thoughts on News video, because I sort of rolled up the news into My Thoughts on. I've got quite used to doing that. And today I wanted to talk about Warhammer Fest Europe, which happened last weekend at the time of you watching this video. I know I'm a little bit behind, I didn't have the time to record it for last week, so I'm recording it for this week. There's a lot come out of Warhammer Fest Europe, not as much as came out of Warhammer Fest or as came out of Adepticon, but it's still a pretty big set of reveals for Black Library, for Forge World and for Games Workshop itself that all really do spike some interest, and I can't wait to see how it all pans out, but I won't go on too much longer. Okay, first thoughts, just now that we've had a week, my initial thoughts going in for this were, okay, we'll see a few fun things, but I wasn't expecting much, and we didn't get as much, but I am quite happy with what we've got. There's a lot of interesting reveals, and not giving too much away whilst also building on what they had shown off. So, let's jump into the news, shall we? Starting us off with Black Library. I'm going to go through the live blog in terms of the news segment, and I'm going to work down. Because it's just the easiest way for me to show everything off without going up and down and up and down. So starting off with Black Library, we have the Horus Heresy, The Buried Dagger. This is the last Horus Heresy novel. There will be no more after The Buried Dagger. Now, I'm not 100% up on whether The Buried Dagger is next and last or just last. So there may be a couple more books to come out between Slaves to Darkness, which has just come out recently, and Buried Dagger, though I don't believe so. I haven't heard tell of any at any rate, so we'll see, I suppose. And this is about the fall of the Death Guard, and that will be a really interesting one, because the fall of the Death Guard has been a tale that we've known about for such a long time. Basic premise: Death Guard goes to Terra, Death Guard gets stranded in Warp Storm, Death Guard give up to Nurgle because Mortarion can't handle the pain anymore, all instigated by Typhus. Mortarion becomes infected by Nurgle, and so on and so forth. And the Plague Marines are properly, officially born. Death Guard go on to Siege of Terra. That happens. But this is a book that I think is really important. Not just because it wraps up the Horus Heresy as a whole before we move on to the Siege of Terra, but it also gives us a chance to explore Mortarion. Now, a few episodes of Adeptus Podcastus ago, we were talking about Primarchs and their character development, and Mortarion, to our mind, is one of the least developed Primarchs on the traitor side. Perturabo has had his Primarch series novel. He's been well developed and is actually quite likeable for some people now. Lorgar, same thing. Magnus, very well explored. Angron, very well explored. Kurz, very popular. Who's the other ones? Fulgrim had a series of novels, very popular. Who else am I missing? Alpharius Armagon, mysterious because reasons. And then we have Mortarion, and we have, I can't even remember the trait. Oh, we have Horus himself, of course, who has, of course, had loads of character development. Mortarion feels like the least explored of the traitor Primarchs, especially when you consider how much development the others have had and what they've had for them, such as Lorgar and Perturabo, who I come back to. And because of that, Mortarion is a harder character to like and relate to, at least to my mind and to our panel's mind at the time. And so I'm really interested to see how this is handled, because it's by the same author who wrote Flight of the Eisenstein. It's by James Swallow, and I honestly can't wait for this. This will be a fascinating read. And it will also be the final stepping stone for the Siege of Terra itself. That's going to be its own little series. There's no wondering, oh, how are they going to write the Siege of Terra? How many books are they going to need for that? They're not going to give us that problem. The Horus Heresy is going to put in one box, and the Siege of Terra is going to be in its own little box. Kind of like the War of the Beast, but more condensed. I wonder how many we'll actually get. Will we get 18? Well, no, maybe not 18. Will we get 12? One for each of the legions involved, the 9 traitors plus the Imperial Fist, the White Scars and the Blood Angels. And then maybe one more for Emperor? I don't know. Will be very interesting to see how they do the Siege of Terra series, and I honestly can't wait to see that chain of events put into script. Just bring it on. Bring it on. There wasn't much more from Black Library at Warhammer Fest Europe, but they have actually done a little bit of Black Library stuff. Recently, there's the big week of reading has just gone by, and there's actually another Heresy novel in there, which is about Malcador. It's called The Prologue to Nicaea, I think, which is sort of before everything kicks off. So I'll be interested to see how that one shines new light on Malcador. And there's also the Two Entwined Blades, I think, which is about the Emperor's Spear and the Apollonian Spear, I think. So hopefully, if you'll have had a chance to read those, they should prove quite fascinating, I suspect. Staying with the Horus Heresy, moving on to Forge World. Now, there's not loads here from Forge World, just a few little things that we've seen, a little bit, not little bits we have. First off, Horus Heresy Book 8, Malevolence. We knew Blood Angels were going to be there, and they've got a couple of Praetors that I think we've seen before. We've seen these Praetors before, I think. So there's one there in Cataphracti armour, in the Terminator armour. Is it Cataphracti? Yeah, it's Cataphracti, I think. Or is it? Oh god, I'm so bad. Actually, no, I think that's Tartarus armour. Sorry, I'm being very, very silly. I can't remember my Terminator armour patterns. Sorry. And we've got one in Artificer armour as well with the two-hander. I think that's a Paragon blade. So, very nice model indeed. Good to see the alter head option as well. We just get a first look at a Blood Angels Contempt to Dreadnought, and oh yes, gorgeous. The Blood Angels are always going to be a pretty legion. You can see you've got the big IX on the left shoulder pad, the huge blood symbol in the middle of, not the Aquila, because the Legiones Astartes weren't allowed to bear the Aquila. That's why they don't. The only ones who were the Emperor's children. So that's possibly not the Aquila itself, but the massive blood drop on the eagle symbol. The death mask on the right knee, I think that's a really nice touch. It's got the assault cannon and the power fist, as you might expect. But we also get another dreadnought. The first ever Legion-specific Leviathan dreadnought. Oops. Yeah, this thing is flipping scary. Again, so many amazing little details on here. Again, the blood drop centered eagle symbol. Again, you've got this death mask, although it's in the hip plate as opposed to anything else. The knee pad is ornate again, and the right shin has got the Legion symbol as well. It's blooming gorgeous. And hopefully they go back retroactively and add some other Legion-specific Leviathans, just to be fair. And lastly, a couple of console choices. So the Vigilator, which is your sniper, is a really cool model I've always liked. In terms of rules, I've always liked Vigilators. And you've also got the Praevian, which is sort of a Tech Marini type thing. And they're both going to be available. I'm biased, I love the Vigilator, but it looks a lot, and I mean a lot, like Scout Sergeant Tellion's model. With that pose of the rifle just slightly down, looking forward with the rifle. The only thing that's changed, obviously, the armour, but I get a real vibe of Scout Sergeant Tellion off this model, and I think they could have maybe been more original with it? I don't know, I just feel like I'm getting a real Tellion vibe off of it. I think they maybe could have done a little bit more, but I'm not sure. And we also have Titanicus. We know that that's been rolled out now and that's all available. But Forge World are coming to your rescue and they will be bringing Warhounds. And here's what it looks like. I mean, I'll say this about Titanicus. It's a really cool concept. I love the idea of Titanicus. But as I said in the podcast this week, it's just like, it's too expensive and prohibitive for me to play it. It's exceptionally complicated. It's exceptionally expensive. I just don't see a reason for me to buy in on Titanicus, because I don't have that nostalgia. I'm not an Imperial player anyway, so Titans, whilst cool, aren't the be-all and end-all for me. I don't know. I love the idea of Titanicus, but it's not enough for me to buy it. I love that it exists, I just won't buy it. But good to see Warhounds in there. It makes sense since Reavers, Warlords, and Knights were already there. That's good. Necromunda is also being reinforced. But before we get to that, we get a couple of Adeptus Titanicus pre-sculpted boards, which is cool. They're going to be fully compatible with the Civitas Imperialis kit, so you can definitely do some fun stuff with custom boards. And now we get to Necromunda, and Cawdor is getting some extra bits and gubbins, same as Goliath, Escher, and... who's the third house that came out? Not Cawdor. Goliath, Escher, not Eshin. I can't even remember the bloody other gang now. I'm sorry, I can't remember them right now. And they also give a shadowy hint at House Delac, who will be along, I'm sure. And now we get to the fun stuff. Well, what I consider the fun stuff. Black Library is really interesting and Forge World's cool, but now we get into the real meat that goes with these potatoes. Let's go with it. So, Rogue Trader, Kill Team Rogue Trader. So, those Rogue Trader previews we saw back at Warhammer Fest? Or was it Adepticon we saw them? I think it was Warhammer Fest. And we saw those little teasers with the models. That looked great. Now we know what that's going to be. It's going to be a Kill Team expansion pack. That's why we haven't seen it until now, because we were waiting for Kill Team to come out. So Kill Team is now out, and this is a big expansion for it. We're adding 2 new factions, basically, in the form of the Rogue Trader crew and the Mutants aboard. 2 new kill zones in the form of a shrine and a ship, as well as a bunch of terrain that goes with that. So it's pretty impressive. Go watch the trailer. I'm not going to show it here, but go watch that trailer. It's really, really cool. And here's a look at the models. And boy howdy, they're pretty. They're so intricate, particularly on the Rogue Trader side, because the Rogue Traders are such a unique group within the 40k universe. I'm so glad to see them miniaturized, finally. Got the loyal dog that everyone turned into a meme. And you've just got a heck of a lot of fun and interesting things to do here. I approve. I wholeheartedly approve. We've got a bunch of nurgly stuff, so yeah, some of those models are quite big. They're quite big. I mean, I don't know quite, well, you see here, they're hulkingly huge. Like, geez, they're the biggest Nurgle models, I think, mortally, we've seen ever? They're certainly bigger than the Blight Kings from Age of Sigmar. They're huge. But I approve. Because they're very suitably Nurgle. I'm down with it. So you've got an adventure set, which is Elusia Vein, against the mutants in narrative missions, which is obviously what you'd expect. And they've got points value, so you can put them into match play. Whoops. So you're getting 2 Kill Team starter sets and a pair of kill zones, which is good. The True Hawk Imperial Shuttle and the Imperial Shrine. So yeah. It's all really, really good. I'm very happy about it. You'll even be able to use both teams in your games of Warhammer 40,000, giving you yet another use for these stunning models. We can play as Rogue Traders in 40k! Yes! 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 Where has this been? Yes! Thank you! Nice! And Kill Team gets even more with 2 new star sets and another Killzone expansion for Drakari, Deathwatch, and the Death World Forest, and they're all sort of tied together because you get some forest terrain with your kill teams in that case. So, cool. If you play Kill Team, that's great. I don't, but it looks cool. Definitely approve of getting more stuff out for Kill Team because you need to support these things if you want it to work as well as Shadespire. And speaking of Shadespire, it gets a whole second... No, spoilers. Damn it, sorry, getting ahead of myself. Sorry. So, we teased at Adepticon new cards for a new season. A second season for Shadespire, which is going to be new cards, new warbands, which I'm expecting will involve Nighthaunt, considering it's called Night Vault, and they call it the Ultimate Competitive Miniatures game. It's certainly got more of a competitive heart to it now than I think AOS and 40k do. Like, it's not all about competition in the mainline games, but Shadespire seems to have become a much more competitive game. So, fine, a really hardcore competitive game for AOS. Hopefully Kill Team could be nice and fun for 40k if they said go down that route. I think that'll be fun, and we'll see what's coming in the next few weeks for Shadespire. Hopefully the Castigators, Sequitors, Glaive Wraith Stalkers, and Mirmorn Banshee easy to build kits all get turned into warbands. That would just be appropriate. And then Age of Sigmar got this. Okay, let's talk about this. New Endless Spell. Presumably new faction-specific Endless Spell, given that, well, what else was it going to be? We don't expect to get more generic Endless Spells, and honestly, this Endless Spell has one particular faction in its head. Chaos Dwarves, or as they're known today, the Legion of Asgore. Now, I faced the Legion of Asgore, and in small games, they're flipping terrifying. They're stupid powerful. Like, they just curb-stomped me, playing both Order Serpentis in AOS 1 and Darkling Covens in AOS 2. I got curb-stomped, because they have an army that has Mortal Wounds across the board, Rend across the board, Wound Ignorance, which in small games is pretty damn powerful, a lot of magic, and powerful heroes. Oh, and guns. They're a really powerful army in their current iteration with their pseudo-battle tone. So I'll be very interested to see if this is Legion of Asgore, or Chaos Dwarves, if that's what they decide to do, how much they're going to be patched. Because in small games, they're savagely powerful. In big games, it might not be so bad, but in small games, they're brutal. And this is probably Chaos Dwarves for one simple reason. Hashut. Hashut was the god of the Chaos Dwarves way back in there in Warhammer Fantasy. And it was a bull-shaped god that also had, in terms of concept, I actually did a little bit of reading about this. Hashut was a big iron bronze bull with magma for blood. And what do we have here? Also, there was a spell back in the day which basically was this thing, but it wasn't stuck around on the board, you just threw it at somebody, like a big magic missile. So, I think this is a Chaos Dwarves Endless spell. The other option is Brayherd, the Beastmen faction, but I wouldn't want to say either way on that one. Chaos Dwarves seems the most solid bet. If we get swerved, we get swerved, but I'm going to say Chaos Dwarves, probably by about Christmas. And 40k got a proper trailer for Speed Freaks. Now, we did a little bit of talking in last week's video about Orktober, but all we'd seen was this thing, which we assumed to be the new Ork War Buggy, or as they call it, the Custom Booster Blaster. God, that is metal and 80s, and I love it. Again, another amazing trailer. GW's media team, whoever you are, whoever makes these trailers and descripts them and shoots them, you're on point. Keep it up. So this is the Custom Booster Blaster, which is the new War Buggy with a big gun, and I still don't know what that flipping gun is. It looks like a rocket launcher, but I don't want to say for sure that it is a rocket launcher. But underneath, in that same trailer, we got a look at a bit of an explanation about what this box set, as it is to be, is. It is going to be you and a friend in a series of death races between a variety of orcish speedsters. It's actually Wacky Races Warhammer 40,000 edition. It's Wacky Races for Warhammer 40,000. But with orcs and more murder. Yes! Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy about that. Yes. And we also get a look at the Shock Jump Dragster, a race that uses shock attack technology to project itself ahead of the competition or just into anyone that looks like they need smashing up. This is a dragster that looks like it came straight out of Robot Wars, with a big grinding death saw on the front and a little ramp to run itself under enemies and just grind underneath them. So you just imagine, so you've got your booster blaster driving along, and all of a sudden this dragster just teleports behind it, gets underneath it and just destroys its rear axle and just blows the whole thing up. So orcs, so metal, so good. Also, shock attack technology. Yes, this thing has a shock attack gun attached to its heart, and that's just brilliant, because shock attack technology, for those who don't know what that is for the orcs, is basically teleporting a little micro corridor through the warp. Normally they only do it with snotlings because they're expendable, but it has a huge failure rate. Sometimes it teleports you, sometimes it just does a bit of a sploosh of demonic gore, sometimes it literally rips the warp open, sometimes the gun explodes, sometimes the warp explodes all over you. Ah! And they put it on the back of a car. Because orcs. Yes! I'm so happy. This is brilliant. And this leads into Orktober. Because that's when Speed Freaks is coming out, and this is the host of new releases for the Greenskins, as they put it. So that means new Orc Codex, and that means more stuff after Speed Freaks. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with my wallet. I don't know what to do now, because I'm going to want to collect more stuff for Age of Sigmar, but then Orktober is looming, and it's like, what do I do? What do I do? I love it. I love it and I hate it in equal measure. It's brilliant. This is just brilliant. Orks, as I said last week, are my first army, my favourite army of all time, no questions asked. Like, no matter how cool Commander Farsight is, no matter how cool Age of Sigmar is, 40k Orks are my home. And they're my favourites, and they always will be. And I can't wait to see what Orktober brings. You guarantee I'm covering all that. Guarantee it. Finally, I think, not quite finally, we get a bit of a look at some more stuff. Space Marine Heroes, which was basically only in Japan, I think. It was just a set of really unique Space Marines. And they're going on global sale, which you'll be able to pick up in blind packs at your local retailers, which is nice. Range of unique designs and great for kill teams, so if you want cool looking Space Marines, this is for you. Blood Bowl gets a Nurgle team called Nurgle's Rotters, which is cool. And we also get the first look at a Pestigore for the first time in flipping yonks. So they're Poxwalkers, but slightly better at ball games. Which one's the Pestigore? I'm thinking it's the top middle and, can you see it? Bottom left. I think it's top middle and bottom left are your Pestigores. So it's great to see them. Hopefully we'll get some Pestigore models in one of the 2 game systems or both, which would be nice. And we get a new Spike Journal, because we always do. Diddly diddly dee, diddly dee, diddly dee. Come on. We also get a Warhammer 40,000 podcast. They're reworking their podcast. They did a podcast survey. So we're getting a Warhammer 40k podcast, and Stormcast is being reworked to be an hour-long show as opposed to 15 minutes. So that's really, 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 really good. I don't like 15-minute podcasts because a 15-minute show where it's just a little bit of promo work, which is often what Stormcast was, quite a lot of it was just promo work and then some tactical stuff. I wasn't in the mood to listen to that because it's 15 minutes. You can't do a lot in 15 minutes. Whereas with an hour, you can do a full long show. You could do, as they say here, your commute to work. They could be, you can download them and save them as you go for a walk or whatever else. I think an hour long show is really, really good. Obviously, you don't have to limit it to an hour if you are thinking of making a podcast. We do 2 hours on a Dex podcast and it works just fine for us. But I think this is a good move, and hopefully they'll move away from that sort of episodic TV show like thing where they would have jump cuts and almost like ad breaks, whereas it looked like it was okay, we're going to go to a commercial now and jump cut and we're back. That was what bothered me about Stormcast, and I did comment on this survey and give quite a lot of feedback to them, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the new Stormcast and this Warhammer 40,000 podcast are going to be like. Does it have a name yet? No, it doesn't. Shame. Oh, and one more thing. Sister Battle, Emperor Willing 2019. We get a little bit of a look at some of the ongoing sculpts for the Sisters of Battle. I'm just going to scroll through these a little bit slowly and you can have a bit of a look at them. I like this one. The Crossbow Bolter. I forgot. Stakeout Bolter? Stake Bolt Gun? I can't remember its name right now, the Crossbow Bolter. But I like the look of it. And I will say, the Sister Battle range, from what we've seen of it, is looking really, 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 really good. I think it's going to be a really interesting looking range, and if the models live up to the hype as best they can, and these sculpts continue to improve as they get worked on, put into plastic and metal and resin, well, primarily plastic, I suspect, I think it's going to be a really good time for Sister Battle, and hopefully they meet most of the hype. Also, that's a cool flamer muzzle. It's an old school flamer muzzle, but I approve. But yeah, I think this is a good time for Sister Battle, and hopefully they live up to most of the hype. They won't move up to all of the hype. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the Sister Battle get in 2019 or whenever they are finally ready. And there you go. That is everything you need to know about Warhammer Fest Europe and my thoughts on it. Obviously, there was a bit more went on. So Drukhari won the 40k GT that was there. Daughters of Cain won the AOS GT. The Fast Riders won the Shadespire GT. So a little bit of information there if you are curious about the tournaments. I'm sure you can go and look it up. And we've got Nova coming in the not too distant future, which will be good to get a bit of a look at to see how that competitive meta is shaking up. I think it's a really, really good time for the hobby right now, and hopefully you agree. But that's just all my opinion. As I said at the top of the show, I quite like what we've got at Warhammer Fest. I'm very hyped about what we've got, even if it wasn't a ginormous pile of things. Like, I didn't need 2 videos this time. But Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you excited about what's coming at Warhammer Fest Europe? Are you disappointed with what we've seen? Are there things that you wish we had seen that we hadn't seen? And so on and so forth. Also, quick little PSA for those of you who stayed to watch to the end. There's been a massive error in the Space Wolves Codex. So your Warlord traits that are in the English version of the book are all wrong. Go on to GW's website. There's an article published last week that means that you will get a chance to look at how the sagas and warlord traits actually are supposed to work in the Space Wolves Codex. But make sure you do that, because otherwise you're basically not playing as the writers intended. But that's all for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching. This has been my thoughts on Warhammer Fest Europe. I'll see you all again. Bye for now.